Hello, good morning, everybody who is chiming in for today's training. Thanks to the amazing Stephen Cambria who posted a question around how and where are all of the coaches hiding that are finding massive success in their business that aren't coaching other coaches. So if this is a question that's been top of mind for you about how to really find success and how to see the role models of success in other coaching businesses that are outside of the business niche. So I'm excited about today's training. I hope you're as excited as I am. Here's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about exactly how you can monetize your passions and step into any niche you want to with your coaching business and find success financially and however else you define success. Also, we're going to talk about the 5 components to really capitalize on any niche that you want to step into mastery of in order to uncover that success and that purpose and that flow for your business. And we're going to talk about the 3 hot topics that when we thread one of these topics through our business, it makes it so much easier to market. And we're going to talk about the reasons why maybe you haven't been seeing all of the success stories of other coaches or other people in our industry having success outside of coaching coaches. God knows we see a lot of coaches coaching coaches. Clearly, I'm one of them, but it hasn't always been that way. So we'll talk about why aren't we seeing more role models for success in the coaching industry that we can model our own businesses after outside of the coaching coaches. That's a lot of coaching words all at once, niche. And then we'll also talk about why actually not coaching in the business niche might be the smartest and easiest way for you to grow your business. Those are the topics we're going to be diving into today, and I'm excited to get started. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So this is the 5 components that are crucial to finding success in any niche. First of all, and this isn't going to come as a surprise to you, but you are the first component. So when I talk about you, it's talking about your core purpose, right? And many of you know this, but then all these limiting beliefs come in about like, how can I monetize that? And these are my values and what's most important to me. And these are where my passions are, but how can I make money following my passions? So that's a common question that I hear all the time. Wouldn't it be easier if I went in a niche that's easier to generate revenue as opposed to creating my business around my purpose and my passion? And the answer is no, it's not easier. In fact, that's usually where we meet a ton of resistance, is if we go in niches that aren't in alignment with who we are and what we care the most about. So when it comes to you, it's like, what is the core essence you want to put behind everything that you're doing? It's the energy behind the words. It's how you're showing up behind everything that you're doing in your business. And it's actually the realization that sometimes we want to flip things on their head, meaning most people say, find a market that has a problem and provide them the solution and grow your business in that way. I actually believe it works the opposite way, especially when you're playing with energetics and consciousness. It's find the way for you to show up in the fullest expression of yourself. And as you show up in the fullest expression of yourself, people will come. Okay, so that fullest expression of yourself is the part of you that we want to uncover and really get crystal clear on. So it's your essence. It's your truest, purest, deepest essence, first and foremost. Second of all, and that's what goes behind your message. Second of all, is it's your mission. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? What are your values? Because when you're clear on that, then when somebody asks you, what do you do? It's less about what you actually do and more about what do you believe in and what are you taking a stand for in this world. So it's putting that stake in the ground and saying, I am the go-to missionary or person who wants to see this change in the world. So even when you think about the essence of who you are, when I was at an event in California, even 2 weeks ago, when people would say, so what do you do? And the room was full of coaches, and the room was full of coaches who coach coaches. And in order to stand out and be unique in our message, if we're at a networking event or wherever we are, what if you shifted that question to, instead of what do you do, which is, oh, I'm a business coach or I'm a relationship coach, to what do you stand for? Or what is the belief that's driving you? What if you answer that question from that place? So when people ask me that question, what do you do? I replied with, I actually believe that the more wealth we shift to conscious entrepreneurs, the greater impact it's going to have on the world. So my work is all around supporting people and tapping into more wealth so they can make the difference that they're meant to make, and it makes that global difference. totally different. I didn't say I'm a business coach who coaches. I'm a business coach who coaches entrepreneurs. I'm a life coach who coaches people looking for their life purpose, because it didn't matter what my label was. And the minute that we shift into our essence behind everything that we're saying, we fall into our heart and out of our head. And that's what becomes magnetic, right? I think I'm also on a mission to eradicate that question, what do you do? I hear, and I know that we have a European population in this group too, I hear that that's not even a question that's asked of the United States. That's so old fashioned, what do you do? When the deeper question is, who are you being? What are you standing for? What is your mission? What do you want? What are you passionate about? And when we can translate that to some of these other pieces that I'm going to be sharing with you today, it changes everything. In fact, I want to eradicate the whole label thing of I'm a coach. Who cares? I'm a therapist. Who cares? What does that actually mean? So that's one piece that's a big change, is to start shifting away from the labels that have preconceived ideas of what they mean, because actually nobody cares what you do. They don't. They ask you what you do, but they really don't care what you do. What they care about is who you are, what you stand for, what's important to you, and whether or not that's an alignment or an energetic match for them. And you know what else? Even sometimes when I get caught off guard because we get so used to what do you do? And it's, oh, what's my elevator pitch? Sometimes the first thing that comes out of my mouth is the transparency of, oh, my favorite question in the whole world. Like, I'm being sarcastic. It's seriously, that question throws me every time. So that's the other thing too. This is off base, but I know you guys like the side tangent sometimes. Sometimes it's like we can call ourselves out. So instead of we feel that panic, oh, what do I say? I'm a business coach who helps so-and-so with such challenge and they want this and that's what I do. It's like this like robotic elevator pitch, right? And as soon as we feel ourselves in our head about what do I say, sometimes we can just call ourselves out and that actually brings out our truest essence. And it's so refreshing. There were many times where people would say, what do you do? And I would say, oh my gosh, seriously, this is totally not your fault, but I can't stand that question. It always makes me uncomfortable and I always feel like I'm fumbling over my words. So I'm actually going to share something else with you other than what I do. It's like just calling myself out. I don't like that question. It makes me uncomfortable. Big deal, right? Okay, so the essence of what you do. The second part of what you do, and this is going to be the hugest thing too, is how many of you are putting measurements of success in your back pocket that actually aren't your measurements of success. So the other part of you is, how do you measure success? Because I think there's a huge disconnect, and I see this so frequently with coaches. And it's, oh, you know what? I'm not successful as a coach unless I'm generating 6 figures. Whose rule is that? Or I'm not successful as a coach unless I'm generating 7 figures. And yes, of course, we're in the business of making money. And I don't want any of you to go into the wealth consciousness lack place of I'm just in it to help people, because it is the both and. But let's be real. How do you measure success? Is it purpose? Is it flow? Is it fulfillment? Is it freedom? Is it time freedom? Is it money freedom? And if it's money freedom, in what way? And how much money freedom is it really? And so this is why you hear me talk a lot about money mapping, right? Get to the bottom of actually where you want your money to flow so that you're clear about how much revenue you want your business to generate. Because the majority of people, if they get really honest, and I always find it so refreshing when a new client comes in and they're like, and again, it's not judgment of what's more and what's less. It's like the realization when people are so tapped into their truth, their values, their purpose, when they're like, you know what, I figured it out. I'd love to generate $50,000 in my coaching business because that would allow me to travel the world, live a comfortable life, connect more deeply with my friends and family, whatever it may be. So it's like, what is the amount of revenue you want to generate in your business that actually will serve your life, as opposed to some kind of abstract number that we really don't even know where it's going or how much it takes to live a fulfilled, purposeful, and driven life. So that's the other piece about the you, is the essence of how do you measure success, and then build your business around that instead of some ancillary thing that maybe the marketing that you're seeing is putting on you, that it isn't even necessarily what you want. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is this current reality. So the second component to being successful in any single niche is identifying, and everything's all connected, but what I'm talking about now is we're pulling it off of you and into your audience and into your specialty and into your area that you want to coach in. So the second thing you want to be really clear on is, what is the current reality of the person that you are most excited to serve? What is their current location, right? So, and this is huge because a lot of times we don't tap into the energy behind even figuring out this piece. So again, let's just talk about their current location financially. Are they dead broke and don't have a pot to piss in and don't even know how they're gonna put food on their table? Or are they a billionaire? Like, where are they in that spectrum? Because the languaging that we use when we're identifying our client's current location and their current reality changes based on the little nuances of where they are, right? So our messaging changes, and the messaging is what determines what we're attracting into our businesses. Because somebody's going to think differently about the results that they want or where they're going when they're in one place compared to when they're in another place. So that's a huge piece that we want to figure out is, what is the current reality, the struggle, the challenge, the pain, the current reality of where they are. And I'm going to give you guys some examples of this too, specifically in the team niche when I share my experience of coaching outside of the business niche. So that's the first piece, is that current reality. The next piece, in addition to those first two things we talked about, is what's their ego desired reality. Now, this is where I see so many coaches miss the boat, is we're like, oh, we're conscious, we're releasing ego. That's BS. We all have egocentric desires. Our ego wants things. We're human beings. And if we don't speak to the ego, then we're missing the mark in our marketing and being able to really profitably pursue any niche. So when you think about your niche, whatever the niche is, what is the ego saying it wants? Because if we don't talk about what the ego wants, and we're just staying in this kind of fluffy, have more purpose and joy and fulfillment and happiness, we're missing what the other half of who we are is saying in our head over and over again, and our message falls flat. So the egocentric desired reality, this is where there's 3 hot topics that our ego eats up. Like that our ego is just boom, it's there. And when you can thread these 3 hot topics or these 3 key things into your business or find the theme to attach it, it shifts how successful you can be in absolutely every niche. So the 3 key things, I think you guys, many of you have probably been on this trainings before where I've talked about the 3 big things. What do you think they are? 3 big hot topics that our ego loves. Money, health, and love. Yes, Elena, got it, nailed it. You all just nailed the big 3, right? So this is where you might feel resistance in how to connect to one of these 3 things, but ultimately it's knowing that it's important. It's important for us to speak to the wholeness of who our clients and our prospects are. So you see a lot of that happening here. And it's what I call bridge marketing. This is a proprietary system that I teach to clients. And it's about how can you create a marketing message that has the energetics of you behind it, but then it also has the egocentric aspect of it while simultaneously touching on the core aspect of what your clients actually really want behind the ego, right? So that leads us to the next piece, which is what's the core currency that they're looking for. So what is the thing that they are saying? This is the egocentric part of your messaging. What is the thing that they're saying? I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I lose 20 pounds. I'll be happy when I find my soulmate. I'll be happy when I have $20,000 saved in my savings account. I'll be happy when, and so it's the I'll be happy when that identifies the egocentric messaging. It's the thing that they're thinking is going to bring them to what they actually want. So the core currency is things like happiness, status, time freedom, and freedom in general, time and money freedom. So it's the realization that when we can craft our marketing message with a bridge that's always speaking to the both aspects of our clients, it's going to land really powerfully. And if we leave one of those aspects out, and again, I see the majority of coaches are leaving out the egocentric part, because and this is the thing, because they say, I don't want to sound like everybody else out there. It's so manipulative and it feels gross. But this is where it makes a difference, is remember, behind it is your essence. So that's why some of the marketing messages that you see over and over again, they can be saying the same thing, yet there's something else happening that it's filled up more, right? And so that's the piece, is it's only manipulative when it's not backed by you and what you're really standing for. So again, back to my example, if my core essence and belief and what I'm taking a stand for is shifting more wealth to conscious entrepreneurs, knowing that when money flows to conscious entrepreneurs, it flows out in to the areas that our world is looking for financial help in, then I can talk about money all day long. I can talk about making money. I can talk about how much money you want to make. I can talk about money all day long. Just like so many of the other marketing messages out there, especially in the business niche. The difference is that behind it is the deeper essence and purpose. So then the message doesn't feel manipulative and hollow, because the truth and the essence behind it is so much more than the hollowness of a message around lose 20 pounds, or it's like that whole piece, right? So it's lose 20 pounds so that what? So this is the bridge, and how you find the bridge is you find the egocentric message. What are people saying? I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I find someone to spend the rest of my life with. So that what? So that I feel connected, so that I feel love, right? And it's like combining those two things in everything that we're doing is what allows you to be uber successful in every niche. And I'm going to talk about where else people are missing the boat and why we're having a hard time seeing really successful coaches in niches outside of business. So now we've got you, the essence behind, the current reality that your prospect is experiencing. Where are they currently at? What is their desired ego reality? And what is the deeper reason why their ego wants that? So those are the first four pieces. Then the fifth piece actually falls between current reality and ego desired reality. And you'll see it's called the path and plan. The path and plan. So what is the path? What are the steps? What are the things that will lead them from what their current reality is to what their ego desired reality is, and even deeper, what their core currency is that they want, right? So what's the path? This is where, as coaches, we miss the boat, because we think that the path is coaching. We think that coaching is the path, or mentoring is the path. And so what do? We sell coaching. Seriously, I want you all to repeat this after me. Nobody is buying coaching. Nobody is buying coaching. I know that so often we're taught, let's tell people the difference between coaching and mentoring and consulting. Nobody cares. Nobody's buying coaching. What they're buying is the solution to the challenge that they're experiencing right now. Coaching is simply the vehicle that we're using to get from where they are to where they want to be. So long as we're selling coaching and explaining coaching and saying we're coaching, we're focusing all of our attention on the vehicle instead of the destination. Or we're focusing all of our attention on the window instead of the view. So that's where there's this huge disconnect that I hear and see so frequently from coaches, is that we're selling something that nobody's buying. People are solely buying, exactly as Terry and Amy are saying, results, right? So the path is your signature system. Yes, Cynthia, your signature system. So this is the fifth component that you want to uncover. After you uncover these first four pieces, you want to uncover what is your signature system and what is the path that they're going to take to actually get the results that they're looking for. So again, knowing that you're using the tool of coaching, you're using the tool of consulting, you're using the tools, but what has to actually happen for that person in order to get the results that they're really looking for? So let me use an example here, because I think this will be helpful, how this actually translates to different niches. So I'm going to use the example of my background, and the first successful coaching business that I built was coaching teens who were at risk of dropping out. And of course, they came from poverty-stricken families. So they had no money. Their parents had no money. So how the heck did I build, at that time, what I was a lucrative coaching business, coaching people who had no money? And again, how does that even happen? So I want to defy some of these limiting beliefs of my audience can't afford it, or it's like all of that stuff. Just to be really clear here, and just to be really honest with you, all that stuff is projecting things out externally from yourselves. It's the market. They can't afford it. People don't buy what I'm selling. All of that stuff is blaming things outside of ourselves. And it's not true. And the minute that we start to take a look and start asking different questions, we can tap into the resourcefulness that we have and get really freaking creative about how to make it happen. Because the reality is, if you can see yourself doing that work, no matter what the niche is, there is a way to do it. There's a way to do it, and there's a way for you to feel successful doing it. So it's tapping into the resourcefulness and the creativity and everything that I just taught you about, then how to use that resourcefulness and creativity to actually sell an idea that's going to generate the revenue. How do you feel in those blanks of current reality, ego desired reality, and core currency? So here's the thing. When I chose to step into that niche, it actually involved doing this full process with 5 different people at once. So in order to serve this population, I was bringing to the table the teenagers, the school, the nonprofit that I partnered with, the funders, the foundations that were writing the check, the parents, and then of course myself. So there were 6 players that came in to be able to create a business in this particular niche. So I just want to share that because it's, again, how resourceful and how creative can you get to be able to serve whatever population it is you want to serve. So let's start with the teens. What's their current reality? These are disadvantaged youth who are failing out of school. Their current reality is they hate school. They hate school and they're sick of people being on their back. They are tired of their teachers getting on them. They're tired of their parents getting on them. They're sick of it. So how am I going to get a teen to buy into participating in a program if I'm not speaking to their current reality? Because they could care less if their graduation rates go up in their school district. This is their current reality. And what do they want? They want to finish school. They want to graduate. They want to get the heck out of there. So the marketing message to teens was not how to get a 4.0. It was how to get people off your back. So this is the egocentric desire. I want to get out of here. Like, I want to finish school and I want to get out. And the core currency was, and once I do that, I'm free. Freedom. I'm independent. I have the time to do the things I want, hang out with my friends. So that was the core currency, right? So the path to I hate school and I want everybody to get off my back to finishing school so that they can have the freedom and the independence was removing all the stuff that was in their way. Coaching was the vehicle, but the path, the signature program was, let's uncover what you want. Let's uncover what you don't want. Let's uncover what's getting in the way of getting yourself what you want. And let's start coming up with some strategies to do that, right? So it's, even though that path is coaching, it was using language and shifting into language that audience would particularly like, right? So then let's go into the nonprofit. Here's the nonprofit's current reality as I approach the nonprofit. Again, I wasn't selling making a difference in kids' lives, which you would think, oh, every nonprofit, they want to have their impact that they want to have. No, what's the real reality that's causing pain for them? There wasn't enough funding. They were struggling every single year securing funding. So what was the desired reality? More funding. They wanted to have more funding because their core currency was, because the more funding we have, one, they were really, this particular nonprofit, their core currency that I was able to tap into was they, of course, wanted to increase their impact. And the other core currency for them was the idea of there's a lot of youth organizations out there and they wanted some recognition in the community and status in the community and or the state. So recognition and status were important because if they're recognized as one of the leading youth services agency, they could be a role model to other agencies in the world. So that was their current reality, their desired reality, and the core currency that they were going for. So this is just examples because they're two totally different desires. And so how do you get buy-in from so many people? How do you get buy-in in your business? And you have to go into their shoes about what they really want and move forward from that place. So what people are buying is a ladder, right? They want the ladder of where they are to climb, and they want the rungs. They want to know what the rungs are to climb up to what they're aspiring to, what they really want to accomplish and achieve. So fill in those blanks and it makes selling, coaching in any niche 1,000 times easier. Not even 1,000. It makes it inevitable. It makes success in any niche inevitable. And so whatever stories you might be telling yourself about why it won't work for different niches, they're just stories. And a lot of times it's projecting things externally when the reality is that if you can see it, if you can believe it, if you have a knowing that the work that you're going to do is going to have a significant impact, then there's a way. It's not even if there's a will, there's a way. If you can see it, there's a way. And it's asking yourself different questions, not about all the roadblocks that you have to overcome, but about the fastest path to creating it. Okay, let's talk about this little thing here. This is the extent of my drawings, guys. So this little part here, where the blue kind of goes up around and up down the bottom, this is also realizing that, because this is going to tie into why we're not seeing more positive role models in other niches. This is also going to tie into that when you think about using this for yourself, what marketing messages are speaking to you right now? Whatever is crossing your path, right? Whatever commercials you're seeing, whatever you're seeing on Facebook, whatever you're seeing wherever you go. this is a fantastic marketing exercise for you to start thinking about and get your brain working around this model is, what about that is speaking to me? What's the current reality that I'm feeling is missing? Where's my pain? Where's my challenge? Where's my struggle? What aspect of my ego is it speaking to? And what is the core currency behind that ego message of what I really want? And you'll start seeing, as you see different messages come through, you'll be able to start identifying how it's touching on those different areas and how it's creating an emotional reaction and an emotional response to want it, to desire the path. So yeah, have fun with that. That one's fun. Even watching Super Bowl commercials, they've been different the last 2 years. Who's noticed that? The comedy's toned down a little bit, and now we're seeing a lot more kind of pulling at our heartstrings. And so what's the current reality right now that we're experiencing that is creating the effectiveness of these ads? The current reality is that we're seeing a lot happening in our world that's hurting our heart. And we're feeling disconnected, and we're feeling disconnected from because of social media in some ways, right? And so of course they're creating those commercials because the egocentric part of our mind is that we want relationship, right? So it's around relationships. We want relationship, or we want, I think that most of them were really based on kind of love and relationships, the ones that I'm thinking of, and maybe even the fun piece. And then the core currency is connectedness, feeling like we're a part of the whole. Again, you can even watch how advertising and marketing shifts and changes based on what's happening in the world and how it adjusts and refines its approach based on this model. I think it's just so fascinating. So the more you get used to thinking about those components, the more tapped in you'll be to how to create it in your own business. Okay, so let's talk about the 2 reasons why we're not seeing more successful coaching businesses in various niches, or more successful coaching businesses, coaching people who aren't coaches. The first one is, what's in your RAS? What's in your RAS? So RAS stands for this part of your brain called the reticular activating system. Who's familiar with the reticular activating system? Yes, Stephen knows what it is. What you concentrate on is what you will see. Exactly. Okay, so yeah, it's this part of our brain that we can actually implant what we want to see. So the reason why we're not seeing things is our brain is filtering stuff out all day long. I actually played with this a lot with the teenagers I was working with to show them how powerful their brains were, that what we focus on expands. How many of you have thought you were purchasing something very unique? Maybe it was a vehicle where you're like, oh, I'm going to get this kind of car. I hardly see them anywhere. And then the minute that you identify what you want to purchase, you start seeing them everywhere because you've put them in your RAS, you put them in your reticular activating system. What's so cool is we get to choose what we're putting in our reticular activating system. Any and all beliefs that you're having that are limiting you in any way, shape, or form, it's creating a self-fulfilling prophecy because your brain's filtering it out to find more proof about what you put in it. There's so many ways to use this that work for you, but also knowing that, especially when it comes to what we're seeing, of course, I'm not seeing any messages from health coaches because that's not something that I'm currently telling my brain to seek out. I'm not seeing a lot of the messages because I'm not looking for them. My brain's filtering them out. And especially now with social media and how fast things are moving, we filter it out even faster, so we don't even see it. So there's so much right in front of you that you can't even see because our brain is working its magic and filtering it all out. So this is a total side note, but one of the things that I put in my reticular activating system is a symbol and a meaning attached to the symbol. So for me, the symbol is feathers. Actually, I have feather earrings in. So yeah, so it's feathers. And the meaning that I've attached to it is every single time I see a feather, I hear you are supported, you are guided, you are loved. And so you better believe that the minute I'm not feeling that, my brain automatically looks for something that reinforces that belief. And I always see a feather. What are some of the things that you can start playing with? If you desire, and again, why do we even need proof? What are we trying to prove? But what part of us doesn't believe that we can already be successful in any niche? Because that's the other piece, and somebody brought this up, like belief, right? The power of belief. We're doubting, and I hear this too from so many coaches that I just start working with, and I don't really know if I believe that much in the power of coaching. And it's, in one hand, we know how powerful it is, but after maybe we've been hitting the pavement for a while and people aren't responding and people aren't eating it up and aren't as excited about it as we are, we can start to question or have doubts about how effective is this really, and does it really work, and how does it help people? Or maybe we have clients that don't get the results that they say they want, and we put that monkey on our back and we think that we're not doing a good job, and then we question whether or not coaching is effective. Now, if that's a belief that we're putting in our reticular activating system, of course, we're going to filter out anything that would defy that belief, and also filter out any of the clients that are ready to really say yes to coaching. Filtering out, seeing what could show you like that there are tons and tons of opportunities in every single area. This actually just happened. There's an ad that just crossed my news feed that has probably crossed my news feed 1,000 times, but I never saw it. But it was a specific ad that directly connected to a conversation I'd had the day before. It was like the minute that I put that in my reticular activating system, an ad came across my feed. And it was like, that's weird, but it's not weird. It's because I put it in my RAS, right? Okay, so that's the first reason why successful coaches seem to elude us. The second reason, and I just want to say too, for those of you that absolutely need proof, there's so much out there when you start opening up to it. I'm going to be participating on a 6-figure coach summit this spring, and the person who's running it, her name is Dallas Travers. She built her business being a performance coach to actors and singers, struggling actors. And she built a very lucrative coaching business focused on helping actors who were struggling, right? I think about Marnie Batista as another example. She's in the relationship arena, and she is an IPEC coach, and she built a 7-figure business helping women find love. Yeah, it's everywhere. And Marnie is all about dating, how to date. And if you want to see some ways to really play with ELI in a powerful way, and I know some of the work I've even done with ELIs has been a little bit modeled after Marnie. She actually created, and again, if you're an IPEC coach and you're using Energy Leadership, you want to make sure that you're fully in alignment with IPEC's branding rules. But she created what was called the dateability assessment. How dateable are you? And that's how she built her business. But yeah, so I'm on another side tangent, because not all of you are IPEC coaches, but there's a lot of really successful coaches in other niches, but they've found a way to ensure that all the components of their marketing and their messaging were hit on so that it was magnetic to their audience. So the second reason why we're not seeing loads of successful coaches coaching regular people is that naturally those in the business niche are a little more masterful at marketing and sales. And so there's two different aspects that we're always playing with. One, we're coaching, and that's the delivery of our services. But in order to deliver our services, there is the business of coaching. And there are so many coaches that are resistant to really stepping into mastery of the business of coaching. So if we don't step into the business of coaching, how can we become uber successful in coaching and delivering and serving multiple clients? That's the other big disconnect. So naturally, business coaches are everywhere because they have some deeper business know-how. They understand the business, and hence the reason why they're probably in the niche in some way, shape, or form. They understand the business aspect of coaching on a deeper level. And as a result, they're seen as supermarketers, not the grocery store. They're supermarketers. So they're seen everywhere because they understand the business of coaching. And this leads to why actually not coaching in the business niche could be the most lucrative, the most fulfilling, the most impactful, the easiest, because it's not saturated. All of the other markets aren't saturated because those coaches that are in other niches that have actually mastered the business side of coaching are few and far between. So it's not that other niches can't be successful. It's not that other niches can't make great money. It's not that other niches, like all of those external reasons that maybe we can come up with. It's just that it's time to take some freaking responsibility as coaches. They haven't learned the business of coaching. And it's no different than all the other industries, right? It's no different than all the other industries. There are therapists that are thriving and there are therapists that are struggling. And the only difference between those that are thriving and those that are struggling is they figured out the business of running a therapy practice. There are financial advisors that are thriving And there are financial advisors that are struggling. It's in every single industry. Every story we're telling ourselves about why we're struggling, if we are struggling, and it's based on something external of ourselves, the reality is the only missing piece is what haven't you learned yet that's allowed you to be successful in it? Or what would support you? And when we ask ourselves different questions, we start to get different answers, right? This is Tony Robbins. What's happening in our worlds is solely based on the quality of our questions. So rather than asking, what's wrong with the coaching industry? What's wrong with me? We can start asking, what am I missing that would allow me to capitalize on this niche that I'm passionate about? What could I learn that would support me in being more visible in front of my audience? So asking those questions, asking different questions, taps into the other part of your brain that loves to find solutions. Our brains love to find answers to questions. So when we're asking questions like, what's wrong with me? Our brain goes, I can come up with all the reasons because it's looking for the answer. Is it safe to say there's different models of business in coaching, or is it one in the same? So I'll just share with you, there's different paths, yes, that we can take. And that's what creates a lot of overwhelm for coaches. So right after this call, I do 2-hour private sessions with new clients, and it's basically their kickoff call. And so this is the path that I'll just share with you, that no matter what path you take, there's certain components that always lead to success in business. So there's structure, but there's flexibility and fluidity within the structure. So for example, it's every single business is, we want to ensure that our messaging is tightened up. That's a must. Like without our messaging, without our marketing messaging, without clarity around that piece, it's very challenging to grow our business. Now, how we reach that place, we can reach it in a lot of different ways, but it's a crucial piece of our business that is a part of the structure of our business. A visibility plan. That's the other thing. We can't grow our business without visibility. Now, all the different possibilities of visibility are there. So it can be a different path, but we must have a visibility plan. And we must identify the path that's going to support and feel most in alignment with our unique gifts and what we want to share with the world. I hope I'm answering your question, Stacy, is that there are different models, but the foundational pieces of business are all the same. The things that all businesses need to thrive and be successful in the coaching industry, out of the coaching industry, are the same. And what you use within that framework can vary a ton. That's a good question. Okay, yeah, so let me just open it up here and let me know how I can serve you and support you. I have about 10 minutes. What questions do you have? What thoughts are coming up for you? What are you identifying as a potential missing piece that's been interfering with your ability to really grow your business to the level you want to grow it? What's an aha? What are you going to take away? What are you going to do differently? Anything you want to share? There's some ideas for you. I'd love to hear from you about what's coming up on this topic. Oh, it's important to identify your niche. Oh, okay, let me share this. So niching, oh my gosh. Yes and no. Where am I going to go with this niche thing? To me, niche, it depends. There's a time and a place for a niche, and there's a time and a place to not have a niche. And it so varies on each person. I'm so glad you're bringing this up, because it serves a purpose when it serves a purpose, and it doesn't serve a purpose when it doesn't. So I know I'm being super vague here, but let me just share many of the places that especially brand new coaches are starting. Actually, the fastest path to your first clients is not having a niche. It's stepping into the essence of who you are and starting to share from that place, and starting to share from that higher place, the essence of who you are, and start magnetizing the people that are already around you. So it's like leverage that warm market, leverage the low-hanging fruit, and just know that still, while you're leveraging and while you're sharing content, you're still tapping into, but you can tap into multiple of these. So even this here, guys, so even if you go back and look at all the trainings I've been doing in here, every single one of them is tapping into a current reality, an ego desire reality, and a core currency, right? Let's take this training, for example, the current reality. So this process sets up trainings. I could do a training today on life purpose using this same framework, even though this group isn't dedicated to life purpose. I've used this framework for wealth consciousness, and that wealth consciousness piece, which isn't just applicable to coaches, it's applicable to people outside of business as well. So why I'm saying you can ditch the niche, and why a lot of times you hear me say ditch the niche, is if holding onto a niche and figuring that piece out is the exact thing that's stopping you from being visible in your business, then you gotta let it go and show up and teach and train on any topic your heart's desire wants to teach and train on, knowing that when you just teach and train to a generalized market, it's gonna draw out certain people from your warm market. It's showing up in the authority and the expert that you are, in the essence of who you are, in the fullest expression of who you are, sharing what you're called to share. And it can be on any topic, and you can change the topic next week. That's when I say ditch the niche. Now, if you want to, as you step into more consistent, sustainable, ongoing marketing efforts, then, and you want to build a specific audience and you have your signature path and plan, which most of the time that stuff gets revealed by the testing that you're doing. What do I need to experience in order to test? A lot of this stuff actually gets revealed for your niche in the process of being visible in whatever message comes to your heart's content, as opposed to trying to figure it out from our brain. So again, there's like a time and a place for a niche and niching for marketing, but there's a time and a place that it doesn't. It's completely unnecessary. And I know that defies what so many people say, but it's totally dependent on each kind of individual situation and also on the level of consciousness. To me, going without a niche allows you to master this part, your core purpose and who you are. It allows you to break through all of the blocks that get in the way of visibility, the fear of rejection, the fear of what people are going to think, the fear of what your family members are going to think. It breaks through all the blocks so that the essence comes through so much more pure. So then when you have the essence piece figured out, you can create the niche and you've got the foundation of your whole business figured out. So many people try to go in here without this, right? Without this core piece. And by ditching the niche, we get to figure out the core piece. And once the core piece is figured out, then we can also uncover what's coming easiest for us. Success leaves clues. Who's responding to our messages? What topic keeps coming up over and over again? What is soliciting the biggest response? That then directs this other piece where we can start niching. Yeah, I think that covered that piece. So I understand that, but in order to capture clients and get them in the door, you have to focus towards something, then you can have them, you can ditch and work on the ego dishes, but I think I understand that for now. Yeah, this is a belief that's not fully serving you right now. It's a rule, and this is the thing. There are so many rules that are given to us, and we're like, oh, that's the rule, so in order to be successful, I have to adopt it. And it's just not true, because many of my clients that are just starting out, the first thing we're saying is, what are you called to teach? What are you called to show up as an expert in? Productivity? Awesome. You know what? Everybody can use productivity. So go where your market already is. For a lot of people, they have a following on Facebook, they're attending different networking events, and teach your productivity tips and see who's commenting and participating and engaging with whatever it is you're sharing. So you're teaching from the heart. And this is the biggest thing. This is the biggest rule that I would love to, again, flip on its head. We don't create a message to match a market. We create ourselves to have a market match us. Because so long as we're focusing on what a market needs over where we're called and what we're called to share, there'll always be a disconnect and we'll always feel like some piece of ourselves is missing. I'm more relaxed with the niche as I'm growing as a coach. Thanks, Stacey, for being honest about ditching the niche. It's so clear without the pressure for me. Yes, that's the other thing too, is as soon as we release the pressure, the clarity starts to come. When we just open up the space of being willing to just share who we are, first and foremost, and sharing whatever comes to mind, then the rest sorts itself out. We get to get out of our head and into our heart and our intuition. Thank you for asking your questions and sharing your experiences and playing along with today's training. I hope it served you well, and I wish you all a fantastic rest of your week and weekend. And until next time, that's it for today. We'll see you guys. Bye.